Chapter 11, November, Minor 11th. November 1st. My big fear was that my guitar would go out of tune. Bob Dylan. I get it, Bob. Big fear of mine with guitar is that too. However, I have more of a fear of breaking multiple strings during a set and not being able to replace them right away, or the power source going out in the middle of an amplified performance. Both of these have happened in my career, by the way. There is a funny sentiment about guitars that you spend half your time playing them and the other half tuning them. As facetious as this may be, it's not that far off from the truth. Acoustic guitars, if not kept in the right climate-controlled environment, tend to get all wonky in the extreme heat and humidity and bitter cold. Since an acoustic guitar is made out of wood, wood warps. When it's hot, it expands. When it's cool, it contracts. So guitars go sharp and flat, respectively, in these conditions. There's not too many things worse than being in the middle of a song and your guitar goes out of tune, other than what I mentioned above, though. You can't just stop the song to put your guitar back in tune. At that point, it's just grinning and bearing through it, hoping that you can stay in the same lane vocal-wise as the key the song is written in. November 2nd. Guitarists should be able to pick up the guitar and play music on it for an hour without a rhythm section or anything. Joe Pass. This speaks directly to the idea of the music being inside of you. It's always inside of you. For starters, it's in your heartbeat, the rhythmic organ and instrument that keeps each and every one of us alive. Picking up the guitar and playing music on it for an hour without anything else instrument-wise happening should be a daily practice. It's called jamming. Another way to think of it is improvising and creating so as to keep up with your chops. In order to write good songs, you have to be able to do this on your own as well as with other people. Being independent sometimes and then coming together to collaborate after the individual time spent by yourself. To me, it's the combination of both that bears great fruit. If you aren't able to just jam on a moment's notice, then maybe you aren't cut out for songwriting and creating your own music. And this is okay. There's nothing wrong with that because it's hard. If it were easy, then everyone would do it. November 3rd. The guitar is just a wonderful instrument. It's everything. A bartender, a psychiatrist, a housewife. It's everything, but it's elusive. Les Paul. Right on Les, it is everything, yet it is somewhat out of reach at the same time. The guitar has been my therapist through the years, helping me make sense of the world around me in a constructive, productive, meaningful way. To be able to create beauty through the hardships and failings of life is a great gift and blessing, and most certainly has been a companion, a great friend who doesn't judge me, and one I can call upon any time of any day. It's always there for me when I need it, even if I don't have anything to actually say with words. Just being available at a moment's notice is huge. Even with all the awesomeness the guitar provides me, the looseness of it is still present. How? Well, it's the same answer for every instrument. Where does the music come from? Yes, we press our fingers on it to make sounds, and through this visceral, physical action, music is created. But where do the ideas and melodies come from in our heads that inspire us to want to create? It's something we can't see, but have to believe it's there. It's faith at its core. It's a miracle. November 4th. It's really funny, I think to myself, I've got my same guitar and amp. It's just a bigger room now. Some things don't change. Brian Setzer. This is the exact right mindset to have about your musicianship, guitar playing, and career as a whole. It's all about humility and not thinking you're bigger or better than anyone else. To stay as grounded as possible is the name of the game. For starters, it keeps us from getting a big head or an oversized ego. No one wants to be around someone who thinks they're the next big, best things in sliced bread. It's annoying and off-putting. Secondly, it reminds us to focus on the task at hand at a concert by not letting a bigger crowd scare or intimidate us. Keeping it simple is a great way to put things in perspective and tell ourselves that all we need is a guitar and an amp, and the same ones we've been using all along. We don't need to get a fancier guitar or amp, as both we already have can do the job like they've always done for us in the past, and will continue to do so in the future if we take care of them. November 5th. I keep guitars that are, the neck's a little bit bent and it's a little bit out of tune. I want to work and battle it and conquer it and make it express whatever attitude I have at the moment. I want it to be a struggle. Jack White. This is awesome. Jack is all about embodying and speaking to the average everyday working man and just life in general. Life isn't easy. It isn't meant to be easy. It's meant to teach us things over the years, to help us become better versions of ourselves through the trials, tribulations, hardships, as well as the triumphs, joys, and happinesses. In short, it's meant to be a struggle, but not a vain one. You see, the harder we have to work at something to figure it out, to overcome it, the more we appreciate all that goes into not only what we are doing, but what others are doing in their given field, hobby, or area of expertise. We can relate to others more since we are all in this thing called life together. It brings us closer, reminds us that no matter how difficult something may be, there is always a positive way to look at it. If we've never been there before, we can lean on others for support and guidance. If we have been there before, we can hold our heads high knowing that we can get through it from our past experience with it. With the right mentality and intention, anything is possible. So keep on playing that bent neck, out of tune guitar. No one is perfect, and neither should the way we make music be as well. This is okay. There's comfort in knowing that we are all like one another in this sense. It doesn't mean we ought to give up before we start, but rather keeping on in our own unique ways to inspire ourselves and one another along the journey of life. Everyone is better off for it. November 6th. I never met a politician who didn't want to be a guitar player in a rock band. I've got the opportunity to say what I believe in. Billy Bragg. Yes, we most certainly do as guitarists, don't we? To be able to speak your mind and stand up for what you believe in is through your creative endeavors is huge. Not a lot of people have the opportunity to do that, but as musicians, we do through song. The only other people who get to do the same without being canceled or seen in some sort of negative light are artists, poets, comedians, and actors. Notice how all of them are something in the arts. This is why it is vitally important to keep the arts in as much of society as we possibly can. Not only do the arts inspire us to do great things, but they can also give us a space to laugh, cry, think, and get lost in the moment. Politicians have to be very careful in how they present themselves to the public. They do have to stand for something, otherwise no one will vote for them. However, the way they stand for something could make enemies with half the country and have their name and reputation dragged through the mud for the rest of their lives. November 7th. Acting. I love it and I feel that I'm good at it, but the thing that makes me feel most alive is when I'm playing guitar and singing. Taryn Manning. You gotta love it. Someone admitting that even though they are good at something and love doing that thing, what makes them feel most alive is doing something completely different. In one sense, that person might not be doing what they're supposed to be doing, their calling, if you will. Think about it. If you feel most alive doing something, then isn't that the thing you should be doing as often as you can, meaning for your career or livelihood, the thing you spend your most waking hours doing? Or should we just keep that thing in its place only to go to it when we are able to, but not all day, every day? For me, it's the former. I feel I'm good at playing guitar and other instruments as well, singing, writing songs, and hopefully inspiring people to want to be better in each of those realms as well. This is what I largely do during my waking hours during the week, and even on some weekends. When we feel alive, we're fully in the moment. And when we're fully in the moment, time, space, and place all disappear and you become one with the thing you were doing. It's a very special place to be. So why wouldn't we want to tap into it as much as we possibly can? I like to think of it as a bit of heaven on earth, where time, space, and place are irrelevant, and you spend all of eternity doing what you love with the people you love the most, surrounded by God, Jesus, all the angels, and saints. November 8th, being in a band with 3 guitar players, one thing you need to do is learn to make each guitar voice sound separate and identifiable. Don Felder. Totally agree. Otherwise, it just sounds like a wall of noise with the same sound stacked on top of one another. I've been in multiple bands in the past, and we made sure that every guitarist had their own space to operate within a song and recording. Here are a few ways to achieve your own sound, which is separate and identifiable, yet still live in the same context as the rest of the band. Number 1, use different amplifiers. Having a different brand of amplifier will most certainly provide a different sound for each guitarist. Number 2, use different effects with each guitar. Maybe one guitarist plays with no distortion, clean electric guitar, and the other one uses a crunch distortion, or one of the guitars uses an acoustic electric guitar, which elicits a completely different texture in a performance and recording from a straight-up electric guitar. In addition to these ideas, how about one guitar using a delay pedal while the other one does not? Number 3, each guitarist plays a unique role only they can play in the band. For instance, have one guitar play all the rhythm parts and the other play all the lead parts. This way there is no confusing who is doing what, and the chances of stacking lots of melodies and sounds on top of one another decreases immensely. We both work together as a team, complementing one another rather than distracting or clashing with one another. November 9th, people ask me to describe how I play, and the most obvious answer is that I'm a jazz-influenced guitar player, but I'm not a jazz guitar player. Wes Montgomery was a jazz guitarist. Joe Pass was a jazz guitarist. Larry Carlton. I love how Larry makes the clear distinction that he doesn't see himself as a jazz guitar player, but rather one who is a jazz-influenced guitar player. There is a great humility and awareness about this acknowledgement. It's coming from an honest place where he even lists other musicians who are obviously jazz guitarists and doesn't see himself on the same level as them. He's giving them a great compliment, which is hard to do if you're a competitive person. But in my opinion, there shouldn't be any competitiveness as it pertains to making music. We are all in this together and ought to be encouraging and helping each other out as much as possible. For the most part, I do see and hear a lot of musicians paying homage to one another, whether it's in the same genre or not. Most musicians appreciate music of all kinds and see it as an awesome creative endeavor we get to pursue, which most people would kill for. We are truly lucky and blessed. For me, another way to look at this quote is that even though I play the bass, I wouldn't necessarily call myself a bassist. The same goes for many other instruments that I can play and play quite well, but wouldn't refer to myself as such because it's not my main instrument. The guitar is my main instrument, so I will call myself a guitarist first and foremost, and then a drummer, percussionist, pianist, ukulele player, bassist in that order. It's not selling myself short, but rather being honest about my versatility with each instrument. November 10th. Michael Bloomfield was the antithesis of a collector. He didn't care how old a guitar was. All he wanted was something that sounded good when played it. And he cared nothing about the collectability of an instrument. His philosophy was a good player can make any guitar sound good. To Michael, a guitar was just a tool. Nick Graventites, truth. Number 1, it shouldn't matter how new or old a guitar, or any instrument for that matter, is. As long as it works and sounds good when playing it, then that should do the job. In my opinion, as well as Michael's, there's no reason to be just collecting instruments. Instruments are meant to be used in order to create beauty for yourself and others, but to enjoy, appreciate, and be inspired by. Sure, they can look pretty, but they are tools meant to be used, not decorations to hang on the wall. This goes for anything in life. If a car works well and gets you from point A to point B, why own 10 of them? Own one or maybe two in case the first one stops working. It doesn't have to be the brand new Rolls Royce, if you will, but can easily be a 10 or 20-year-old Toyota that gets the job done. Number two, a good player can make any guitar sound good. This is so true. If you were good at anything, you can make something sound good, look good, and perform well. It's not the guitar's job to sound good. It's your job to make it sound good. The guitar is doing all it can already by having 6 strings resting on top of the fretboard with the nice sound hole present for the music to reverberate and resonate. It's your job as a guitarist to play it in such a way for the beauty to jump off of it. To expect the guitar to do all the work for you is unrealistic and immature. November 11th. Learning to play with a big amplifier is like trying to control an elephant. Richie Blackmore. Why? Because playing with a big amplifier is a whole other animal, pun intended. But I digress. There is a lot that can go wrong or sound off with a big amplifier. The one blatantly obvious thing that can happen is crazy feedback if you get too close to it with your guitar. Or if you leave your guitar ringing out after the last song the band plays. It's also very hard to balance or equalize the sound with the rest of the people you're playing alongside. If you're too loud, no one can hear anything else. If you're too soft, then people want to hear it more. There's a fine line between too loud and too soft, and with a big amplifier, it's quite challenging to get it just right. And last but not least, let's talk about the elephant in the room, blowing a speaker or two by playing too loud over a long period of time. This would be a guitarist's worst nightmare, especially if it happens in the middle of a gig. So, be kind to yourself, your bandmates, and anyone within an earshot of your amp. Turn it down a bit. It will still be loud, but not so loud that people leave your presence being unable to hear or have ringing in their ears. November 12th. My guitars are my umbilical cord. They're directly wired into my head. Kirk Hammett. Very interesting image and saying. Of course, this is a metaphor and a neat one at that. Picture a person sitting down on a couch with 4 cables connected to and running from his head to 4 guitars in the room. They are each plugged into an amplifier and serve as a complement to one another. One guitar has no distortion. The other has distortion. The third has a flanger on, and the fourth has a delay or echo effect. All work together as a team and make a great overall sound for anyone in the vicinity to hear and appreciate. I believe this is what Kirk is essentially getting at here, that he can have multiple guitars and effects in mind while playing and writing parts for songs. But to paint this visual is a unique way of looking at the potential inner workings of a guitarist's brain. How they see and hear the world around them can be quite different than the average music listener or layperson. He can pick and choose which one or ones he'd like to use for a particular part of a song or an entire song. After all, every song is unique and many call for something different than the previous or next one. November 13th. Sometimes it's the mistakes that end up leading you into new territory, like the guitar solo on Peelin' Taters. I had some speaker problems, but the tone ended up sounding better than if I had new speakers. It's a 60s Nashville uptown thing, Junior Brown. What a beautiful way to look at a mistake, mess up, or thing that went wrong. Instead of dwelling on the negative, spin it into what positive attribute or opportunity the situation might provide to you. Here, a speaker problem turned into a blessing in disguise, making a guitar solo sound better with the problem than if the problem hadn't occurred in the first place. What other things in your life could be blessings in disguise that you might not be paying attention to or thinking of in that way? Breaking my tibia playing soccer when I was 16 years old was one of the best things that ever happened to me. How can that be? Well, when that happened, it brought me to the guitar. The passion was born right then and there, and it helped me discover a gift I had within me for music I never knew was there. Let's flip the script on what may be currently a hardship, trial, and tribulation or obstacle. That may very well be the thing you need to focus on to uncover something amazing about yourself and the world around you. November 14th, life without happiness is like a guitar without strings, unknown. Wow, so profound. One can have a life and be alive, but without happiness, something is vitally missing. There is a hole, an emptiness that is very much present. The same goes with guitar. One can have a guitar, but without the strings, you cannot fully play and use the instrument to its fullest potential. There is something vitally missing. In addition to the above observation, just like life can look beautiful around us, without happiness and joy, it is not filled with zest. A guitar can look beautiful, but without strings, it does not and cannot sound beautiful. Sure, you can hit it or tap the instrument to turn it into a percussion instrument, but the initial intention of this wonderful instrument is not present. Let us remember to find the joy and happiness in everything, even the mundane things. Why? Because we are alive, and one day we will not be in physical form. We ought not to take this fact for granted and treat every day like a miracle, because it is. We owe it to ourselves to do so. November 15th. The guitar is like cuisine, and you can't expect people to eat the same thing all the time. Richard Lloyd. That's right, Richard. Like cuisine, guitar playing ought to be original, unique, new, different, surprising, inspiring, and tasteful all at the same time. If not, it would most certainly miss the mark, fall flat, and be downright boring. I mean, imagine eating the same exact thing every single day of your life. It wouldn't be a very exploratory or well-rounded diet, which is very much the spice of life and overall good for our bodies and minds. Similarly, to perform and listen to the same type of music isn't very well-rounded or exploratory. It's putting yourself in a box and limiting what might truly resonate with you. you could be missing out on something you never knew you could enjoy and even pursue as a passion or mission in your career. There's no growth emotionally, psychologically, or physically either. I can only speak from personal experience, but for me, the most fun, joyous, in the moment, and creative I've been and currently am is when I'm riding the line between doing something I know or at least familiar with a bit and something I don't know or have never done. It doesn't take much either. Learning a new scale, learning a few new chords on an instrument I've never played, recording an album in live fashion, using nature sounds in recordings, and writing songs of various genres. These are all within everyone's grasp, and it has definitely opened my eyes and ears up to different ways of thinking, interesting sounds and rhythms, and meeting new people I might not otherwise have met. Nothing wrong with any of this. It's all positive. November 16th. All I want for Christmas is a rock and roll electric guitar. Chuck Berry. Say it again, Chuck. Music, the gift that keeps on giving, and it keeps on giving all year round for many years to come, not just at Christmas time. I really can't think of a better physical gift to someone on this wonderful holiday and holy day than a guitar. In addition to inspiring the person who receives the gift, anyone else that crosses paths with that person will be inspired through the playing of the instrument. There is something special about the guitar, and I know it's not just me who sees it. So much physical and audio beauty can be created through this wonderful six-string instrument. I know there are certain guitars that have 7 strings and 12 strings, but for the sake of the argument, let's stick to the standard 6-string. The only gift I can think of that's better is the presence of loved ones. To give your time and energy and being in the moment trumps any physical gift, but the guitar is top of the list as far as physical gifts goes. Being that Christmas is right around the corner, let us enjoy the present moment as much as possible and play the guitar strings of your life to your heart's desire. November 17th. I really like playing my guitars. You know, they don't call it working my guitars, right? Mark Scheiken. Astute observation, Mr. Scheiken. I think if it were called working the guitar, then no one would want to be around it. But since it's called playing the guitar, there was a fun, joyful, positive, uplifting, childlike element to it. And it's so true. You could play it in all different kinds of ways, traditional and unorthodox alike. Put it in different tunings and play around with effects, all the while expressing yourself in as many ways as you are inspired to do so. When we are in play mode, time and space disappear, and you become one with the thing you are doing or being. This is very much the case with playing the guitar, whether it be writing a song, playing a cover song, playing scales and riffs, or just fiddling around on it. I lose all sense of time and space when fully immersed in the playing of it. It's using your imagination and creativity in fun and unique ways. As more responsibilities come to the fore and the craziness of the world continues to barrage our everyday life, I yearn to be in this state more and more. Keep playing because it keeps you young at heart. November 18th. One day you pick up the guitar and you feel like a great master. The next day you feel like a fool. It's because we're different every day, but the guitar is always the same. Beautiful. Tommy Emmanuel. What a great way of looking at playing a musical instrument as well as everyday life in general. One day you think you're the master or the expert in an area, and the next day you feel like you have still so much to learn. It's like being the student and the teacher at the same time. On face value, this might not seem possible, but it very much is. It is in our best interest to continue learning, growing, and getting out of our comfort zone if you want to become a better version of yourself. So it's okay to be well educated or knowledgeable in a particular subject matter or industry, but never settle for thinking that you know everything there is to know about it. It was always something new to learn. Whether that's learning how to better communicate with people, a new discovery as it pertains to making things more efficient, as well as different ways of looking at a situation. These alone can provide great learning experiences. Never mind keeping up with all of the latest rules, regulations, laws, and policies that come with most things in life. To his second part of the sentence, we do change every day. We are one day older than we were yesterday, and sometimes that can be worse for the wearer or best dressed to impress. The guitar always stays the same. November 19th. Fake friends believe in rumors. Real friends believe in you and your guitar. Yolanda Hadid. Enough said. Real friends will be there for you through thick and thin, through the good times and the bad and everything in between. They don't judge you and make you feel bad for any decisions you make or things that you may believe. They accept you for who you are and find ways to meet you where you're at. Real friends go out of their way to make sure you are okay. Carve pockets of time out to spend with you and take a phone call whenever. The fact that Yolanda mentions a guitar in this quote is perfect. Why? Because a lot of people will try to tell someone who is pursuing a passion in the arts to have a plan B. A real friend doesn't believe you need a plan B if they know you at all. They believe in your ability to make something great happen through your creative endeavors on this beautiful instrument. They will tell you to go for plan A all the way and put everything you have into it. November 20th. My life goal, to play guitar in as many different countries as possible, unknown. Whoever said this, it's a really cool life goal. This is a testament to the free-roaming, adventurous spirit of the traveling musician. In my opinion, this is the best way to think about living, doing what you love and encompassing the globe while doing it. You learn about various local cultures, experience all different kinds of ethnic food, to learn how to speak several languages, and of course, see all the cool sights to boot. So I say go for it. Spread the joy of music through your guitar playing to as many people as possible, far and wide. It will be not only great for them, but great for you as well. November 21st. I need a 6-month holiday to just play guitar twice a year, anonymous. I'm not sure why the person that said this needs a 6-month holiday to play guitar, but it could be taken in two ways. One, the 6-month holiday is needed because it's such a treat for the person who's playing it that they feel they're on vacation for half a year. In one sense, it can feel like that because playing music and guitar, for that matter, feels like that for me at times. This is especially the case when writing or recording a song. And sometimes when performing live, I lose all sense of time and space and enter the state of eternity, heaven on earth. In other words, vacation. Number two, the 6-month holiday is needed because it's so hard to play the instrument for this person that they need that long of a break from it in order to feel the inspiration to play again. I get this as well because at first the guitar literally hurt my fingers. The calluses I developed were painfully earned after playing many hours on many days for months on end until my finger bled. I understand a break at this point if you're not used to pushing through. November 22nd. To me, the hook of the riff is what makes a great guitar recording. It's the backbone of the whole song. When you have a strong riff, it's the rocket fuel for the track. Dwight Yoakam. I agree. But I would even take it a step further in saying that the hook is what makes not only a great guitar recording, but the song in general. No matter what instrument is being played, really hit. If you don't have a hook in any way, shape, or form, the chances of that song becoming memorable, catchy, and able to get stuck into someone's head decreases quite dramatically. When I'm in the process of writing a song and recording that song, I'm always on the hunt for catchy melodies on various instruments, guitar at the fore being that it is my main instrument. It will give any song that extra push, that X factor, if you will, in an ear candy kind of way. In continuing Dwight's line of thinking, a catchy guitar riff will set the song on a trajectory into the next stratosphere. In other words, it will inspire not only the listener to want to listen more, but the musicians coming up with the part to begin with to continue writing and recording. November 23rd. That's all I wanted to do as a kid, play a guitar properly and jump around. But too many people got in the way. Sid Barrett. This is where the good stuff in life lives. It really can be this simple. Just pick up a guitar, play to your heart's desire, and let the music move through you to creatively express yourself whenever and wherever you want. The next step after doing this by yourself is to do it with a couple other people forming a band or union, if you will. If that continues to be fun, the problem is what happens in the step following this. It's where other people outside of the band, close family and friends, start to notice and take interest. Then someone wants to be the band manager, a booking agent, a record label, producer, and recording engineer, and so on and so forth. At this point, it has become more than just a band of musicians writing and playing songs together. It becomes more of a business, which does tend to suck the fun out of the whole experience. So my best advice is to keep it simple as you can keep it for as long as possible. And just because a record label comes knocking at your door doesn't mean you have to sign with them. There are many options and channels for artists who create and put music out themselves in completely independent ways. In fact, there is a real argument for going the independent route in today's day and age, because you have more control over where you want to have your music, as well as keeping all of your copyright, writers and publisher shares when it comes to placing songs. The power is in your hands way more than ever. So there's no need to give that away to a whole bunch of people who might not have your best interest in mind. November 24th. Life is like playing a guitar, and meditation is like music. Small session of rehearsals daily won't show much, but would make you rock in the long run. Brickerman. I love this. This is not just the case for music and guitar playing especially. It is a case for anything in life. Small sessions daily might not show much in the short term, but in the long term will bear much fruit. Exercises like this for sure. Doing more core work like sit-ups and planks might not show anything in your midsection for a few months. And after a while, you start to see real definition in those muscles. And all of a sudden, you'll see a 4-pack, even a 6-pack of abs on yourself. It doesn't just happen by the snap of your fingers, by putting in the work over time that will give us the result. The same goes with guitar. Learning a couple chords every day might not seem like much on their own, but after a while, you'll learn enough chords to be able to play an entire song and even start writing your own songs. Your transitions between chords will become much easier the more you practice them, and everything will start to come together over time. As human beings, it's difficult to wait for a result as we are very much creatures of immediate satisfaction. Patience is a hard thing, and it's no wonder why it's one of the virtues. It's not a virtue because it's easy. It teaches us to wait for the right time. It teaches us that not everything and everyone works on the same pace as us, and this is okay. We'll all be better off for learning the art of waiting, and that patience can be a comforting friend as we can cultivate a calmness and peace in the waiting process. All good things in the end, all good things. November 25th. Everyone plays guitar alone, but we can play side by side. Jennifer Lane. You've got that right, Jennifer. As musicians and as human beings, we all play and live our lives alone. No one else is in our bodies except ourselves. Therefore, we're technically alone. However, we don't have to be alone for the duration of our lives if we associate ourselves with other like-minded people. In fact, this could be one of the best things we can do throughout life. Community and camaraderie are wonderful blessings and something we can fall back on in times of need. When a guitarist gets together with another musician and plays side by side, they are not only jamming but communicating through their artistry. You can play off one another, trading solos and rhythm sections, playing harmonies together, inspiring yourselves along the way. As much as I like writing, playing, and recording songs on my own, because I get to make all the decisions, it's very nice to write, play, and record with other people. There's an energy there that you just cannot tap into when doing everything on your own. It's a positive, contagious energy that fosters creativity, collaboration, innovation, and invention. It's exciting beyond belief. For me, it's a little piece of heaven on earth. And if you've been lucky enough to experience this, you'll know what I'm talking about here. If not, I hope you do get to experience it one day because it's magical. November 26th. Someday you are the guitarist, someday you are the guitar. Vikram. This is akin to saying, one day you are the teacher, and the next day you are the student. Life, as well as in music, on any instrument, such as guitar, is continuous, never-ending classroom and learning opportunity. This is the case if we are open to seeing it this way. If we are not, then we will always be the guitarist and never the guitar. We will always think we are the teacher and never the student, because we will think we know everything there is to know about a specific topic, subject, or area of interest. That is such a closed-out tunnel vision way of thinking and living, though, because you are inherently limiting yourself to the knowledge you could acquire by not being open to learning more over time. Another way of looking at this quote is the idea of being so involved in what you are playing, an example, the guitar, they become the thing you are playing. That is eternity in a nutshell. No concept of time or place, where you are fully in the moment all the time doing what you love and with those you love forever. Now, there's nothing wrong with being the guitarist, but I'd rather be the guitar as you fully embody and inherit the thing you are doing into your being. This is where the magic and miracles happen. November 27th. The strings on a guitar are like fishing lines, and I strum them out at sea. Each string has a distinct sound and flavor, but the most popular with the Sharks is leftover meatloaf, which sounds like Color Me Bad's 1991 song, I Want to Sex You Up. Jared Kintz. I like the metaphor of strings on a guitar being like fishing lines. When you play the instrument, you are creating musical melodies and rhythms for which will inevitably perk people's interest and attention, just like when you cast a fishing line, you are inevitably perking fish's attention. Where is that sound coming from? Do you hear that? These are two questions people will ask if in the vicinity of a guitar. What is that thing in the water? Why is it moving? These are two questions fish might ask themselves if seeing a bobber, bait, or fishing line in the water. As far as each string having a distinct sound and flavor goes, this is right on the money. The low E string plays the lower notes, so it sounds more like a bass guitar than anything. The string is thicker than all the others as well. The high E string plays the higher notes, so it sounds more like a ukulele or mandolin, even buzzing bees when played quickly. This string is the thinnest, so it gives that kind of vibe when playing it. Every string in between, both E's, A, D, G, and B, have their own unique sound. The A sounding like the low E, but not as low. The D sounding low, but has a hint of high end in it, the most balanced string in my opinion. The G having a bit of low end, but mostly high end, and the B having almost as much high end as the high E. When they're all played together, they create a beautiful sound, combining both low, high, and middle notes at the same time. November 28th. I always travel with my guitar. I take it myself with me in my hand. I don't like to send it by cargo because it's dangerous. There's no way I would do that. Juanes. I love the idea of taking your guitar with you as you travel around the world. It is a very much welcomed companion. I've done this in the past and it has proved to be quite fruitful as a source of creativity and friendship, but also a great conversation starter. As far as not putting it in cargo goes, I totally get that. You have no control as to how the instrument will be treated along the journey, if it will break or crack due to the extreme cold in cargo, and if it will even make it to your destination. Due to human error, these are all real possibilities. So to keep it on your person at all times is your best bet to ensuring the tender love and care the instrument requires and deserves to maintain its integrity. Know your boundaries and comfort level, and this will be the key to your own inner peace. November 29th. The important thing to remember is that a guitar makes the sound, but you make the music. Mark Phillips. I absolutely love this. Yes, the guitar is the thing, the object that the sound comes out of. But you are the one who presses down your fingers in many different ways in order for the music to come out of the instrument. If it wasn't for a third party, another force outside of the instrument, if you will, then all the guitar would do is sit there and look nice. This is the case for all musical instruments other than wind chimes. The wind moves the chimes, making the sound happen. It would be nothing more than a decoration, a wall ornament for people to admire. While this is nice for dinner parties, it doesn't live up to its fullest potential of being played and appreciated sonically through the beautiful melodies it produces. And why wouldn't we want an instrument to do what it is inherently made to do? The same can be said for people in the fact that we owe it to ourselves to live up to our fullest potential, not squandering away our lives with silly, nonsensical activities, or just plain old being a spectator instead of an active participant in it. And thinking of it this way, we can safely say, life makes the sound, but we make the music. November 30th, I'd solo on my guitar, then sing, then solo, then sing some more. One stopped when the other started. That way I felt a continuity, not a conflict like a wheel that keeps turning. Both sounds, guitar and voice, were coming out of me, but they issued from different parts of my soul. B.B. King. This is a great give and take relationship with your voice and your instrument, namely the guitar. It's about listening and responding in kind, complimenting each other for the betterment of the song. Yes, it is great to sing and play at the same time, so you can perform for anyone, anywhere, with no accompaniment other than your voice and your guitar. Many singer-songwriters and musicians do this kind of thing, and it works well for them and the listener. However, it doesn't have to be this way for everyone. The fact that BB knows his strength more as a guitarist than a singer reinforces and reiterates his virtuosity and awareness of himself and the listener. He wants to give the best performance he can and do what's best for the song, and he's discovered that he can do this by alternating between singing and guitar playing. I've seen this sort of thing before with other local artists, and it's a neat exchange to witness. The guitarist plays a neat riff or solo, then sings in between the neat next riff or solo, and so on and so forth for the entire song. If at a concert, they do this for every song throughout the set.